Welcome, everybody. Welcome to our Amud Yomi Shiur. We are facing yet another amazing Amud of Gemara, Kiddushin, Lamed Gimel Amud Aleph. Lamed Gimel Amud Aleph, that's where we are in Kiddushin, and Amud the day. Welcome to everybody who came here in this rainy day to Avos Shalom. Welcome to people on YouTube and on Torah anytime. So we are now studying the Sugya of, we're learning now about getting up in honor of a Talmid Chacham, a scholarly Jew, young or old, or in front of an older person over 70 because he's a seva. There was a bit of confusion, I must confess. Yesterday, when I spoke about the Beis HaMerchatz, I spoke to you, and this is a debt I have to you from yesterday. When we spoke about Merchatz, I told you, and that was correct, that there are three parts to the Beis HaMerchatz regarding Krishma, Tefillah, and also regarding getting up. Beis HaMerchatz, halachically, the bathhouse is divided to three separate parts. The middle part is a bit confusing. The outer part of the Beis HaMerchatz is where people are fully dressed. Whatever they do, the shmooze, the whatever, yes sauna, no sauna, I don't know. They're dressed, So now, in that place, that's a normal place. What's the problem? Do whatever you want. You say Krishma, Tefillah, Omein, you say Shalom. The word Shalom is also an issue. You're allowed to say the word Shalom outside Beis HaMerchatz. Go to the other extreme, where everybody is washing, and therefore all of them are arumim, naked. That place is like the toilet. That place, because people are naked there, because it's not always clean, it's not respectable. There, you don't say Krishma, you don't say Tefillah, you don't even answer Omein. You hear somebody saying Shakol on the hot coffee outside, outside the window. You don't say Omen, and there you can't even think in Divrei Torah, because it's a completely, not a respectable place. The middle place is where some people are naked and some are dressed. That is a bit confusing, and actually it's not so even clear la'alacha. In that place, you're not supposed to say Krishma or Tefillah. You're allowed to answer Omein, for example. In the inner room, for example, you're not allowed to say Shalom to your friend, Shalom Aleichem. You know why? Because Shalom is the name of Hashem. And therefore, you're not supposed to say the name of Hashem when people around you are naked, or even if nobody's naked there, the place is the place which is not respectable. Therefore, you're not supposed to say the word Shalom. Do you know that there's an issue even if a person is called Shalom? My brother-in-law, his name is Shalom. So if I want to call my brother-in-law and I'm inside the Beis HaMerchatz, I have an issue. Why? Because Shalom is the name of Hashem. Mishnah Berurah says there's a machloikes. It's better to be machmir, not to say the word Shalom in the Beis HaMerchatz, the Beis HaKisa, even if you're calling your. So if I have to call my brother-in-law, I will say, hey, Mr. Levy. I can't say his name. The middle of the road place, the Beis HaMerchatz, the middle one, where people are partially dressed, partially naked, there you're allowed to say Shalom, but not Krishma. Some kind of, middle of the road place. What about us? Let's say a rabbi comes to the Beis HaMerchatz. Rabbanim also have to go to Beis HaMerchatz to the mikveh. So really, I saw in the Shach, one of the Nesekelim of Shulchan Aruch, the Shach says that in the middle room, you are supposed to get up. Why? Because it's a place where you say Shalom. Because that's a place where you greet your friend, you see your friend coming to the mikveh, you say Shalom Aleichem. Therefore, too, it's respectable enough to stand up in front of a Rav who comes in. That's halacha. And I want to thank Yaakov Gitztin, who approached me yesterday after Shiur, because he told me that it wasn't clear, and it wasn't. Now it's very clear. The middle place is a place which is partially okay, partially not. So if a Talmid Chacham comes in, you are supposed to stand up in front of him, in his honor, and that's about it. Now we may continue. Lovely. Tanna, Ezo kima sheyesh bahidur. What is considered a kima standing up that has hidur, that is considered a respectful way that gives glory to the Talmid Chacham? You must say Zedaled Amois. Only when the Talmid Chacham is approaching your domain, your terrain of Daled Amos, so to speak, your turf, then you're supposed to stand up. Why not before? Maybe be mehader more, because there it's not nikah, it's not significant, it's not visible that you're doing it in his honor. Maybe I'm standing up because I have a bad back. When you dafka see him coming into your Daled Amos, and then you like jumping jack flesh, he's standing up, that shows you're doing it dafka in honor of that person, Zedaled Amos. Omer Abaye, lo yamoron elo beraboy she'enu muvak, says Abaye, that is only true if the Talmid Chacham is not your Rabbi Muvhak. Rabbi Muvhak means it's not your Rav whom you learned most of your Torah from. As we saw at the end of Elu Metzia, second paragraph of Metzia, around Lamed something over there, Yeah, if it's not your own Rav, the line starts with the word muvhak. More than 10 lines from the bottom of the page, Lamed Gimel Amud Aleph Kiddushin, line starts with the word muvhak. Aval b'Rabbi muvak meloi einov. Oh, if a person sees his Rav muvhak, his Rav whom he learned most of his Torah from, the person who taught him most of his Torah, it's very hard to find such a person today. They say maybe you're a Sheshiva who taught you your Derech Halimud, and a Shiur who you learned most of your Torah from, maybe whatever, somebody like that. Then that kind of person you have to respect even more once you see Meloi Einov from what's Meloi Einov? All the way there till the end of the field of your vision. Yeah, the field of your vision may go as far as wherever. How depends how well your eyesight is. You see from there, you have to already stand up, yeah, to show that you respect him so much. Meloi Einov. Now, I saw another opinion that says in Alocha Reish Samech Vov 266 amos, not more than that, because too much it's not nicker. So how much is 266 amos? Divided more or less by 2. That's meters. That's 130 meters more or less. More or less 130 meters. Yeah, from that distance you have to stand up from the Rabbi Muvak. I saw something else in Halacha. What? Right. And another thing I saw in Halacha, that is a Godel Ador. You see a really great scholar, one of Godel Ador coming into the room, that's what I meant coming into the room. Really, you see him from a distance, you already have to stand up. You have to show so much respect that already from when you see the really great scholar, one of the stars of the generation, you have to stand up in his honor already from afar. Abaye, the Gemara is telling us now stories to assert what we just said. Abaye, Michia v'chazile le'odnei dechamra de Rav Yosef. Abaye, you know that Rav Yosef was Abaye's Rav, mentions it many times. When Abaye would see just the ear of the donkey of Rav Yosef would ride on a donkey, right? And he would just see the ear of the donkey of Rav Yosef, he would recognize the ear of his donkey. You know, it was a Mazda. You can see the ear has special shape, yeah? The Asi that it would come, have a kaim Abaye, have a kaim, yeah? Have a kaim, he would already stand up. Yeah, he would just see the ear of the donkey, he would already stand up in awe of his Rav. Abaye, Avarochiv Chamra, Abaye himself now, another story, Abaye vis-a-vis other people. Abaye Avarochiv Chamra v'kamazgi aguda de Nahara. De Nahar Sagya. Abaye was riding on a donkey, and he would be mazgi, ride along the bank, Guda, the bank of the river Sagya. Yosef, Rav Meshalshia, Rabbanon, Bidach Gisa, Rav Meshalshia, and other Rabbanim, other Talmidim, other Chachomim, they were sitting on the other bank of the river, the other side of the river. They didn't stand up in his honor. Omar Lehu, so he asked them, V'lav Rav Muvakano, am I not Rav Muvak? Which means, I know that I'm far away from you, I'm not within your Daladamos, but I'm surprised. I thought Abaye, I'm the Rav Muvak of you, Rav Mesharshia, and his team. Omrulay, so they told him, so sorry, Lav Adatin, we were not thinking, Lo nizkanu lamod shahinu trudim, says Rashi. We were busy, we were preoccupied, and therefore it didn't occur to us, but really we should have, because it's the Rabbi Muvak. Yeah, that's interesting though. It's not so simple what I'm telling you, because Misvo, there's a question here which I would like to leave open for now. Yeah, we say that you have to stand up in honor of the Chacham, Daladamos, right? Because before that it's not Nicker. We don't know that you're standing up in honor of the Talmid Chacham. Maybe I'm standing up, and yet when it comes to Rabbi Muvak, you do stand up once you see him coming from far away. What's the difference? Why don't we say by Rabbi Muvak the same thing, right? That if I stand up or the Rav Muvak is far away, people don't see that I do it in his honor. Question. There is an answer. I'm leaving it as a question for now. Homework. Rabbi Shimon, now you have homework, not me for a change. You can say whatever you want. As at the moment, you can still talk. We're still in South Korea for now. Yes. Okay. Rabbi Shimon ben Lozo Oimer. We are quoting the Brisa again. Another quote from the Brisa. Another citation, Rabbi Shimon Lozo Omer, Minayin lezoken shelo yatriach. How do you know that an old man's not supposed to cause others the hassle of standing up? Don't dafka go time and again. Don't go through the main entrance to cause many people to stand up. Yeah, in your honor. Talmud loymar zoken ve'oreisa. The Pasuk is telling us, Zoken ve'yoresa. Why do we juxtapose the word Zoken in Yoresa? You Zoken, you old man, or you old Talmid Chacham, or you young Talmid Chacham, right? We said La Halacha. All of you should also have Yiras Shamayim. Don't have your ego trip and be matriach people to stand up and down. As Ellen opened the subject, there's also an issue sometimes of people sitting and learning, and while they're learning, they have to stand up for you, and that disrupts the learning. We'll discuss that too. But the Torah tells us, the Torah is alluding to the fact that the Zokan himself shouldn't bedafka cause other people to stand. Omar Abaye, says Abaye, Nektinan, Abaye takes it one step further. Nektinan, we know, we have it in our Messiah, the I Makif Chaye, which means a Talmid Chacham that, now I want to explain to you something which I saw in Halacha. There are 3 levels to how people can enter a room. Number 1, you enter through the main door, time and again, everyone's standing up, festival of the ego. Or you have another way to quickly come in from the side, right? Come in less times, come in through the back door to minimize your entry, the entrance scene. Yeah. A third way, which Abai is telling us, is even better. Makif means to go all the way around and Bichlal don't go through the Besmedrash. Yeah. In other words, you can either go through the main place, right? Or you can avoid coming in. You go makif. What's makif? To circumvent, to completely go around the Besmedrash and come in through a tiny door in the back to really minimize your entry, even more than the second level from before. Omar Abai Nektina, and we know the makif chaye, a Talmid Chacham that tries to completely avoid coming in, he only goes around, he will have long life. Marich Yomim. You know why? It says in Broches that the person who is the Rabbonish, somebody that has leadership, is a leader, Dafka tends to have short life. His longevity will not be so long. It will be shortivity, not longevity. Yeah, and why is that? The Yosef, you see Yosef HaTzadik. He was the master, he was the king, and although he was the second to youngest, he died first. Why did Yosef die first? Yeah, he was almost the youngest. Yeah, because he was the leader, Ein Hara, or other reasons. Yeah, not joking. That's why Yosef HaTzadik was nifta. Levy was the third oldest, and he was nifta the last. Because Levy was the Bnei Teire. Because Levy was a Torah man, sitting and learning all day long. That's why he lived the longest. Wow. Abaye continues the Gemara. Abaye Makif. Abaye himself would be Makif, would go around the Besmedrash and not come in. Rabbi Zera Makif. Rabbi Zera did the same. Now comes another story. Ravina Yosef kamed Rabbi Yirmiyah midifti. Ravina Yosef would sit in front of Rabbi Yirmiyah midifti, and they were probably sitting and learning. Cholafu Gavra Kamei. A man passed by. No, he came by. He passed by near them. Veloy Michsi Reisha, and his head was not covered. Interesting, Kiddushin. This is the 4th time we've seen one Masechta the Indian of covering one's head. I never saw so many of them in other places. A man would walk near those Talmidei Chachamim without his head covered. So besides the point that it's important to have your head covered, to have the head covered near a Talmid Chacham is even more. Like some, irreligious people, they would come to shul, they would cover their head. Very nice. I saw one of the air conditioning, installers. He came in, he right away looked for a kippah. Nice. In other words, when he's in front of somebody, something more kadosh, or in this case, you should, in front of Talmid Chacham, have your head covered. You go to a big rav, you wear a hat, let's say. So Omar, so he said now, Ravina said, Kama chotzif agavra. How chotzif, how audacious is this man? What nerve does this man have to walk in front of Talmidei Chachamim without his head covered? What's going on over here? He's not properly dressed like a Jew. Omar lei, so he answered back, right? He told him, Dilma mimata machzianihu degisi barabonon. Maybe this man, I'm down the kafschus, partially, a backhanded kafschus. Maybe he comes from the city of Matamachsia. Matamachsia was a city with many Talmidei Chachamim, like a Kirat Sefer back then. And Matamachsia, the people of Matamachsia, the regular folks there, there would be gas libam with Talmidei Chachamim. Gas libam means that over familiarity, Talmidei Chachamim. They felt buddy with them. There's so many Talmidei Chachamim there. The Talmid Chacham goes to a Balabati Shafek. Oh, Talmid Chacham came. He's an Avrech, and nobody else is an Avrech. Nobody's Talmid Chacham. He's, wow, what a meteor coming in. But when everybody around you is Talmidei Chachamim, you feel buddy with them. So I'm down the Kaf Schus that he comes from the city with so many Talmidei Chachamim. he's already gas. He's liber gas. He feels too much at home with them, and that's why it doesn't cover his head in their presence. Isi ben Yehuda Omer, mipnei seva tokum v'afilu kol seva b'mashma. We are still quoting the brisa, the aforementioned brisa. Isi ben Yehuda was the third opinion. Yeah, what did he say? That even if the person is not a Talmid Chochem at all, according to Rashi, even if the person is a Rosha, wow. And according to Tosfos and Ritva and others, and Shulchan Aruch, if the person is not a Rosha, but Amora, a regular guy, regular Joe Schmo, nice guy, doesn't know to learn at all. If he's old, that alone grants him the right that you have to stand up in front of him because he is 70, or according to the Zohar, 60. Omar B'Yochanan, halacha kisi ben Yehuda. Halacha is the kisi ben Yehuda, and that's halacha that even the older person is not scholarly, you have to stand up in front of him, as opposed to who argued with him? Tanakama and Rabbi Glili, right? They say only a Talmid Chacham of different levels. He says no, even an old person, not a Talmid Chacham. Now we're going to, here they are, the Mackenzies. Who? Rabbi Yochanan Havekai Mekami Sabe de Armoy. Rabbi Yochanan would stand up in honor of the elderly of the Goyim. Yet the gentle Goyim, even they, not Talmid Chacham, even they, he would stand up in front of them. Why? Omar, he said, Kamar Patki Adu Alaihu Dehani. How many interesting occurrences did these people, were these people through? In other words, they've seen a lot. An older person you have to respect because he has life experience. He's not a Talmid Chacham, he's not even Jewish. But Lemaisa, the mere fact that he had harpatkaot, he had all kinds of adventures, all kinds of, stuff that he's been through, that alone grants him the right that we should show him some kind of respect, and you stand up in front of him. Unbelievable. Rava. Now, Rava would have a lighter version of that. Rava, mekem lo kai hidur ovid lehu. Rava would not stand up, full size, but Rava would make some kind of hidur, which hidur means different things. Hidur over here means l'chayra, like we said before, like that. Yeah, like standing up a little bit without, not the whole thing, stand up a little bit. Now, Abaye would do something different. Yoda lesabe. Abaye wouldn't do even that. Abaye, you know what he would have done? He would extend his hand. When they would have to walk, old people many times they don't walk so well, they're a little bit frail in the gait. So he would support them also to show honor, not only to technically make sure they don't fall, in a way that's like respectful. He would respect them by giving them a hand, literally. Rava mishader shluchei. Rava would not actually give them the hand, but Rava would send shlichim, would send other people to help them. He would see an elderly guy walking down the street a little bit, not all there. So he would send a Talmid, he would send someone, show him support, show him that you care, and walk a little bit with him, give him a hand. Rav Nachman, Mishadel Guzoi. Rav Nachman would send his srisim, Guzoi, like gazuz. Cut means he had castrated people, eunuchs, these were always the Misharsim, Sarisim, like Bachashverosh. Because Rav Nachman, who was Rav Nachman? Rav Nachman was the son-in-law of the Nasi, of Reish Galusa. Yeah, you know that. Rav Nachman's wife was Yalta. She was a very, very famous woman in the Gemara, mentioned many times. She was a very interesting person. Rav Nachman was the son-in-law of Reish Galusa. We all know that Reish Galusa means exilarch. Now we know what it means. Thank you. Was the leader of the Jews in Bavel. So Rav Nachman was royal. Rav Nachman had his set, he had his whole entourage. He had his staff of servants. They would curtsy maybe in front of him. I don't know. Rav Nachman had those guzoi, those sarisim, those people that would take care of him, and Rav Nachman would send them to take care of the elderly goyim. He himself wouldn't go. Why did Rav and Rav Nachman not go themselves to help the goyim? Why did they send other people to support the goyish elderly? Omar, Rav Nachman at least explained himself, and he said, "Ilav Torah. If not for the Torah that I have, Kama Nachman bar Abba Yika Beshuka. How many Nachman bar Abba would there be in the market?" Similar to Rav Yosef in Psochim Sameches Amud Beis. Yeah, you know that. How many Nachmans would be in the shuk if not for the Torah that I have? He was not arrogant about his Torah. On the contrary, Rav Nachman says, it's not because I'm royal and I'm fancy, I'm the son-in-law of so-and-so, not at all. But because Lamaise, I represent Torah, I'm a very public figure that represents Torah and have Torah. If I would start bending and doing things for the elderly goyim, that would, diminish the kavod of Torah. Yeah, people around me, the other Jews, they have to see the Torah as something, above and beyond, something beyond us, something to be respected. And therefore, I'm not going myself to the shuk to what? To support the goyim. I send other people to do the job for me. Good. By the way, that's the halacha. The halacha is you don't stand up in front of the goyim. I saw today in Shulchan Aruch, miracle I had some time today to look at it, but you show them some kind of support. You talk to them nicely. You give them a hand. You show them recognition to the elderly goyim. You have to respect old age even by them, but you don't have to stand up in their honor. When an old McKinley comes into the room to your Daled Ames, you don't have to stand up, but hello, Mr. McKinley, how are you doing? How is the weather like? How are the elections like? Yeah, good. Yeah, give him a hand if he needs a little bit. Show him respect, but not dafka by standing up. Okay, that's as far as I've seen the halacha. Omar Ebu Omar Bianai. How many times? Oh, Lamed Gimel Omud Beis. Oh, now we have a few issues here. Let me first read it and then we'll say what are the issues involved. What do we say? Ein Talmid Chacham, this is Rabbi Ebu Omar Bianai, Amud Beis now. Ein Talmid Chacham Rashoy La'amon Mipnei Rabbi El Shachis Ve'avis. A Talmid Chacham who sits and learns is not allowed to stand in honor of his Rav only twice a day, morning and evening. Wow. Here we have a Machloekes Rishonim. I'm reading one way, yeah. The Poshup Pshat of the Gemara and Rashi and some Rishonim, a Talmid Chacham is not allowed to stand, yeah, in honor of his Rav only twice a day. The Rav may come in and out. A yeshiva. Imagine yourself a yeshiva. I teach in yeshiva now in the afternoon. The yeshiva comes in and out of the Beis Medrash many times. He teaches, he does it, this and that, yeah, he gives shiur. He comes in and out. Do we all have to stand up every time he comes in? Boom, like a jumping jack. Is that so? So says the halacha, you're not allowed to stand in front of him more than twice a day, morning and evening. Why not allowed? Because otherwise, how many times do you say Shema Yisrael showing respect to Hashem? Twice, morning and evening. If you stand up in front of the Rav more than that, that's already showing as if you respect the Rav more than you respect Hashem. And that is a problem according to the Gemara and Rashi. We will go back to other opinions later. Right now I'm reading the Gemara and Rashi. Okay? So now, and we will probably see Tosfos today as well. Now, that's what we say. Twice a day is enough. You don't have to. Not only you don't have to, it's not even good. You stood once, you stand twice, finito. Mesivi. Now, frag the Gemara, a question, a brisa from the brisa we saw before. Rabbi Shimon Lozo Omer, Minayin Zaken Shelo Yatriach, right? We said that a Zaken, an old, or actually any Talmid Chacham, should not be matriach. Don't cause hassle to the public to be toreach and make them stand up in front of you. Talmud Lomer Zaken ve'yoreisa. You Zaken, you have to be yore. You have to be Shemaim, not to really, not to make them stand so many times. What do you mean? If it's only morning and evening and that's it, and not more than that, what's the tircha? That's normal. In other words, if all they have to do is stand twice a day and it's a chiyuv, it's not a tircha, right? It's a double barrel question. First of all, twice a day is not so much, right? What's a big tircha? I'm telling them to stand up twice. Yeah, I'm not sending them to the gym now, cardiovascular for an hour. What am I doing? Once in the morning, once in the evening, and that's it. The other time, I'll come in as much as I want. Any other don't have to stand up. Secondly, the morning and evening is a chiyuv. What do you mean it's a tircha? It's a tircha to daven. It's a tircha to say Krishma. It's a tircha to many things. A tircha. What's the problem? El alav must be kuliyoyma. Must be that really you're wrong in what you said before. Right? Must be that really every time the Talmid Chacham comes in, you have to stand. Not like we said only twice a day, but rather you must stand in front of him every time he comes in. That's a terrible tircha. That's really like, jumping jack, up and down and up and down and up and down all the time. The Talmid Chochem can come into the room 50 times a day. That's insane. Maybe that's what you're saying. But you see, you do have to stand up every time, and that's precisely why he's not supposed to come in and out too many times in through the front door. Answers the Gemara, Loi, no, rejects the Gemara. La'olam shachis ve'arvis bilvad. Really, morning and evening alone is the only time that you're supposed to stand in his covered. Nevertheless, kama de efshale loy nitrach. Says the Gemara, no. Really, it's morning and evening. Still, even though it's a minimum amount of times, it's a minimum and maximum, according to our Gemara, actually, of only twice. Still, don't be matriach them. From your side, it's true that they're committed, obligated to stand up in front of you. True, but you, from your side, Rabbi Talmid Chacham, don't make them stand, even though it is only twice a day. And you have a point which we'll see later in the page. Could be also that they're sitting and learning, and you mevatel the Torah. Now, okay, there's another understanding here, and that is when it says lo rashoi, doesn't mean that he's not allowed. It means that he's not mechuyev. Yeah. In other words, there is an opinion in halacha in Shulchan Aruch that you're allowed to stand more times, right? But you're not supposed to. You're not obligated. Make your din only twice a day. The other times you may. Why? I'm showing you more covenant to Hashem. So I saw in the Meforshim, in either the Shach or another one, he says, no, if I had Kvoid Shechina coming a few times a day, let's see, I don't know, Avraham Avinu, he sees the Shechina a few times a day. Let's say there would be some kind of event which would be Kvod Shechina, a Sefer Torah coming in. I would stand up. If I would see Kivyochel, the Shechina coming into the room, theoretically, 10 times a day, I would stand 10 times. So if I stand up in front of the Chochem 10 times, I don't respect him more than Hashem. I respect him because he comes into the room 10 times and Hashem doesn't. That's all. That's why they say it doesn't mean you're not allowed. They mean you're not mechuyev. You want to stand up, do it 10 times. But twice is the minimum. That's another understanding. I would now continue and then maybe we'll see Tosfos. Omar Belozo says Rabbi Belozo, Kol Talmid Chochem. Oh, it's a Talmid Chochem now that has some status himself. Talmid Chochem. Shein oimin mipnei Rabbi. But if he doesn't stand in front of his Rav, he doesn't stand in honor of his Rebbe, Nika Rosho. Wow. It's called a Rosho. Terrible. If you don't stand up to the Chochem, you're Rosho. Ben Marich Yomim, oy vavoy. Yeah, he will not live long. Amud mishtakeach. And also he's going to forget his learning. You know why? If you don't respect Torah, you'll forget the Torah. Something you don't respect, you'll forget. Sheneemar. And here we bring a pasuk, a pasuk from Koheles. It says, "V'toiv lo hiye lo rosho." Good things will not happen to that bad man. V'lo yarich yomim. And by the way, toiv. What's toiv? Ain't toiv ela Torah. Yeah, Gemara in Brochas Daf Hey Amud Aleph. Toiv is Torah. That rosho will not have the goodness of Torah. V'lo yarich yomim. He will not live long. Ketzel asher inenu yorim lifnei Elokim. Yeah, like ketzel. His years would go by quickly, like we're saying in the Tanna Tokef. Ketzel oiver. Like a shadow flying by. Why? Because he's not Yorim Lifnei Elokim. He does not fear Hashem. Okay, what is the missing because of the Moira Elokim? Moira zu ein yodea ma'u. What kind of Moira is the Pasuk in Koheles referring to? Exactly what kind of Avera does he do that shows lack of Moira, of Hashem? Shu omer v'yiresem Elokecha. It says in the pasuk, what does it say later? Oh, must be that man is lacking, and because of that he won't live long and he won't know Torah, is because of lack of respect to Talmid Chacham, like Zer Shava v'yoreso. See Yiras Elokim referring to standing up from the Chacham. And therefore, the Yiras Elokim that's the Yiras Elokim that is missing. Back the Gemara, how do you know? Is that the only mitzvah where Yira is mentioned? The Eima, Moros, Ribis, and Moros, Mishkolos. How do you know? When it comes to Ribis, when it comes to Mishkolos is the fact that you have to, mitzvah that says that you have to keep in your possession only weights and measurements that are very, very just and right. Yeah, mishkolois. Yeah, v'yoresem elakecho. There too it says yoresem elakecho. So how do you know that this man who won't live long and this and that? How do you know that his issue is a yira regarding Talmid Chachamim? Maybe it's a yira regarding many other areas in Torah where it says yoresem elakecho. There's a very, very nice thesis over here, which again I think we'll get to the end where we want to get, and then we'll see the Tosfos. Tosfos says something very nice here. Rabbi Lozo answers the Gemara. Rabbi Lozo pnei gomar. Rabbi Lozo says no. It says over here. It says asher einena yoret milifnei ha'elokim. Right? It doesn't say Rei Elokim. It says in Koheles that man that is so sinful that is no lacking el shamayim pnei Elokim. Where else does it say pnei? Mipnei sevatokum. That's why. That's pnei gzor shavo. The Yiras Elokim that's missing, the face of Hashem, the face of the tzad mipnei seva. That is what you're missing here, and because of that, lo aleinu, the person will be punished. Ibai lahu. 1 second. Okay, let's see Tosfos. Tosfos, there are two Tosfos to see. The first Tosfos in the page. Yeah. We said at the beginning, look at the first Tosfos. Ein Talmid Chacham Rashoy Lamon Mipnei Rabbi, Elo Shachris ve'Arvis. Yeah, Talmid Chacham is only allowed to stand, yeah, in honor of his Rebbe, Shachis ve'Arvis. Tema, Frek Tosfos is a question. Lama ikpid rovo la'el, yeah, Shema kama miponov Shachis ve'Arvis v'lava daite. Rava beforehand, right, you got upset with people. Why don't you stand up in front of me, right? Yeah, says the Gemara. How do you know? Maybe they already did their bit. They're not supposed to stand up in front of you every time, right? Maybe they did morning and evening. You didn't notice, right? Why are you down the kaf choiva? It's not supposed to be an ongoing thing every time. So maybe they did once, twice, finished. B'nira leforish says the Tosfos gives an answer. The din ze eno noeg ele ba'osim adorin b'beis harav. Oh, that halacha of not standing up more than twice only applies to Talmidim who live in the house of the Rav, or they live in Besmedrish, they live in yeshiva. The mistame om the shachis varbis. They daven there morning and evening, like today in yeshiva. They live there 24/7, and they stood up morning and evening. And Mimela, we say more than that, you don't have to stand up. Thus, it seems to be saying, well, you don't have to. Not you're not allowed to. You did morning, you did evening, because he came into shachis the Rav. Yes, he came into Ma'ariv. Yes, that's true. The Rosh Hashiva comes to shachis, you stand up. Comes to Ma'ariv, you stand up. All the rest, I don't have to. Aval Talmidim Acherim. Let's say you have Talmidim who don't live in yeshiva, external Talmidim, they live somewhere else. Chayovim lamad afilu mea pamim beyoim. Wow. They have to stand even 100 times a day. You know why? Shema yireh acher v'yachshedem. Maybe another person who did not see them standing up in the morning and the evening. You're in the street now. You don't live in yeshiva. You hear the Rav here and there. And now, in the middle of the day, in the middle of the road, you have the Talmid Chacham coming in. You're sitting there sipping your coffee in the coffee shop. The Rav is coming in. How does that look? People don't know that you stood in the morning and the evening. They would think that you are being, disrespectful to your Rav. And that's Mari sign. And then people would suspect you, and it's wrong. The Afilu continues, Tosfos, and finishes off. The Afilu oisim shedorim bebeis harav nami im ba'al ponim chadoshes tzrichim lamoid. Wow. Even those who live in the house of the Rav in yeshiva, if new people came to yeshiva, lunchtime, a new guy comes to yeshiva, or a new person, a new avrech comes in, he did not see you coming, he didn't see you standing up in the morning, you have to stand up again. Whenever there's a new onlooker, you have to stand up again, not to look as if you are not respecting your Rav. Unbelievable. Very nice. I will not read the entire Tosfos, the next one. I'll give me a minute. Tosfos says something very nice. If we have time, we'd read this beautiful Tosfos, the last one. Tosfos says something very nice about the Yiras Elokim and Yiras Talmidei Chachomim, because he has a lot of issues. The Psukim, he says it's not really written by Rebis. Says Tosfos, it's a famous Gemara in Ksubas Daf Kuf Yud Aleph Amud Beis. It says there, Es Hashem Elokecha Tira L'Rabas Talmidei Chachomim. When you fear Talmidei Chachomim, it's equivalent to fearing Hashem. You can't fear Hashem in a very tangible way, right? Because you don't see Hashem. But a Talmid Chacham, a real Talmid Chacham who represents Hashem, you can respect him because he's a representative of Hashem. That's why, the Yiras Elokim, if you don't respect the Talmid Chacham, you're really not Yireh Shamayim, more than other mitzvahs. You're not Yireh the concept of what Hashem is, the one representing Hashem. And therefore, that's a bad thing that Chalila can cause early death, v'chule, v'chule. Yes, question are welcome as of now. Yes. Yes. Yeah. True. Yeah. We'll still get your point about getting up in the middle of learning. Promise they'll be towards the end of today's show. Iboilu, question that was asked in the Beth Midrash. Ibailahu, Kiddushin, Lamed Gimel Amud Beis. Benoi vehu rabbi. Listen to this. Your son is your rabbi. What happens if a person's son is the one who taught him Torah? The father became Bal Tshuva, right? The son, much more learned than him. The son taught the father, and the son became the Rav of the father. That can happen. Yeah, there could be such things. So now you know who was his own father's Rebbe. There was a story we had before, Rav Yehuda Bar Yecheskel. Rav Yecheskel, remember Rav Yehuda spoke to his father in a way that Shmuel found a little bit audacious, but Lamaisi was his Rav. That's what Rashi says later on, and we'll even see it in the Gemara later. So you have a very, very funny situation. On one hand, the balance here is very funny. Right? It's not so clear who's who. The son is younger. The son's supposed to respect his father, but the son is much more learned to a point that the son taught the father. That brings about a few questions. Ma'u lamod mipnei oviv. The father comes to the room. Is he supposed to stand up in front of the father? Why yes and why not? Father, kibudov. Of course you have to stand up. On the other hand, no. He is more of a Talmid Chacham, not stam or Talmid Chacham. He's his Rebbe. Maybe it's lack of Kavod the Torah that the son, a big Talmid Chacham, is standing in front of the father, who's much less. Maybe you're diminishing Kavod the Torah. What do? Toshma, the Omer is Shmuel Rav Yehuda. Again, Shmuel is telling Rav Yehuda, Shinena, you the sharp one, or you the with big teeth, another pshat, Kum mekame avuch, stand up in front of your father. Oh, so we see that although Rav Yehuda, as I just told you, was the Rebbe of his father, still Shmuel told him, hey, get up. I'm your Rebbe, and I'm telling you, get up right now, meaning, that shows you, that's a very clear answer. Although he is your Talmid, still he's your father, stand up in front of him. Answers the Gemara that this is does not necessarily reflect on our issue. Why? Shani Rabbi Yecheskel, the Baal Maisim Hava. Rabbi Yecheskel is different. Rabbi Yecheskel was not an Amoretz. Rabbi Yecheskel was less knowledgeable than his son, but he was a tzaddik. Rabbi Yecheskel was a man of good deeds. Baal Maisim was a big tzaddik, tzedakah, chesed, whatever. He gave tzedakah. And it says in halacha, by the way, as you see now, the film of Shmuel nami koi mikamei. Wow. Yeah. In other words, Shmuel himself would also stand up in front of a Baal Maisim. And I saw, in Shulchan Aruch, a Talmid Chacham is not supposed to stand up in front of anybody. But if a Talmid Chacham sees a Baal Maisim, a person who is a tzaddik, but not very learned, is a person who does a lot of good, Talmid Chacham is allowed to, it's a good idea to stand up in front of him. Maybe it's not mechuyev, but it's not bizoy in the Torah. It's not lack of respect to the Torah. If the Rosh Hashiva with the frak in Hamburg stands up in front of a person who does a lot of mitzvahs, that is, as in Hebrew we say, it's in place. It's appropriate. That's what I mean to say. Yeah, it's appropriate, and therefore shkoyach. So the son clearly can stand in front of his father. Why? Because the father is about maisim. Preg the Gemara elamai kamerle. If so, what's the chiddush? So what's the chiddush? In other words, any Talmid Chacham, right? Any Talmid Chacham is supposed to stand or allowed to stand, in front of what? Of a Baal Maisim. Clearly, all the more so if the Baal Maisim is your father. So what's the chiddush? If he's both your father and he's a Baal Maisim, then what's the chiddush you stand up in front of him? Why is Shmuel telling him big news over here? Answers the Gemara, Hachi Kamer Lei. This is what he told him. He maximized the chiddush much more. Zimnin, what Shmuel really told Rav Yehuda was, Zimnin the osim achoirai. Sometimes your father comes behind me. I walk in, and he walks in too. So as we walk in, I come into your daladamas, and then he does. Listen to this. Kum at mikamei velotechush likodidi. Wow. I'm asking you to stand up in front of him because he's your father, and not in front of me. Don't be concerned, lechush, to my honor. I give in, I give up my honor. Talmid Chochem is allowed to be moichel is kavod, right? And I'm telling you, stand up in front of your father and not in front of me. Much more glaring, yeah? Much more of a contrast, and still I allow you to do that, and that is the chidush, right? That even if the Talmid Chochem is moichel, two people coming in, your father, the Balmaisim, or your Rebbe, if the Rebbe told you to, you say, okay, I'm not standing up for the Rebbe, I will stand up for my father, the Balmaisim, or even a regular Balmaisim, even if he's not your father, he happens not to be your father, but he's a Balmaisim, he's a guy who does nice, good things, mitzvahs. You stand up in front of him, even if he's not a Talmid Chacham. There's no chiyuv to stand up in front of such a person, but it's a good thing. It's a nice thing to do, even if you're Talmid Chacham. It does not show lack of respect to the Torah. The Torah respects the mitzvahs, kind of. That's the idea here. Iboilahu. Now comes another question from the same situation. Benoi vehu rabbi. Again, the same situation. Somebody's son is his Rebbe, right? The man became frum later in life. The son already goes to yeshivas. The son teaches the father, right, left, and center, the Kol Torah Kula. The father is the Talmid of his son. That's the same situation as before. But now the question is a reverse question. Maush Yamod Oviv Miponov. Wow, Ad Kedei Kach. Maybe the father would have to stand in front of the son in honor of the son, right? But the father standing from the son, that's only 2024. No, but he's a Talmid Chacham. He's your Rebbe. So if he's your Rebbe, it's not so clear again, right? Okay, so what's going on? Toshma. So the other way around, we said yes. Let's summarize what we said before. If the father comes in, you stand up in front of him, maybe because he's Balmaisim. We haven't figured that out or not, right? Balmaisa, you do stand up, it's your father. True. We contemplated maybe it's only because of Balmaisim. Now we have the reverse question. Would the father have to stand in honor of the son coming into the room? Father sitting there having supper. The boy comes from yeshiva. He's a big choshev Talmid Chacham learning in yeshiva all day long, way more advanced than the father and teaching the father. Does the father in the middle of supper has to stand up in honor of the son, who happens to be his Rebbe? Toshma, let's hear the following statement and try to figure it out from there. The Omer Rabbi Shimon Levy, Ani eini kedai lamod mipnei bni. I am not worthy. There's no reason for me to stand in front in honor of my son, which means the only reason, I'm standing when my son comes into the room. That's because my son happens to be, because he married the Nosi. He married, similar to Rav Nachman, he was son-in-law of a Protectia family. He's a son-in-law of Beis Nosi. You're mechuyev to respect the Nosi and his people, his entourage. Not like Melech, but almost, yeah. That's why I stand up in front of my son. The assumption was, why would a father bichlal imagine to stand in front of his son? Time must be Dano Rabbe, right? Why is that? Because I am a normal father. I am my son's Rebbe. Ha'ihu Rabbi. Let's say he would have been my Rebbe, which means the Gemara assumes that a father doesn't have to explain what. Excuse me? No. Are you Rabbi Kaim Nekame? No, not true. No, sorry. No, I don't think so. No. Sorry, I don't think so. No. Kaim Nekame. Let me explain first, and I'd be happy to hear your. Let me first say my thing. No. Let me explain. The father here is saying, I'm not. Why I am standing up? It's only because why? Because he's a Nosi. Of course. Why would a father otherwise stand up in front of his son, right? True. What's the Havamina? Yeah, we're not in 2024. Must be there's another hidden reason here, another hidden message he wants to tell you, and that is what? The only reason why I stand up is because he is what? He's the son of a Nosi, as opposed to what? What's the red herring here? I'm a normal father, I taught him Torah. That is to say, to infer from here, had he been my Rav, there would be another reason to stand up in front of him. You know what I'm saying? In other words, I only stand up in front of him because he's the son-in-law of the Nasi, and not what? Had he been my Rav, there could have been another potential reason. Had he been a great Talmid Chacham, greater than me, and teaching me, I would have stood up in front of him, but I don't. It's a statement. You hear me? Yes. Ha boy mikamei. Had he been my Rav, that's what the Gemara trying to figure for to derive from here. We're trying to derive to get the answer, to derive an answer here. What would be the case if my son teaches me Torah? What would be the case? Says Rabbi Shimon Levy, I only stand up in front of my son because he has another point of chashivus. That's why I stand up in front of him, right? That's why, because he's not my Rav. Mashma, had he been my Rav, there would be another alternative reason to stand up in front of him. Unfortunately, he's not, or maybe yes, fortunately, he's not my Rav. So therefore, by default, by crossing, by ruling out, the only reason I have is because he's the son-in-law of the Nasi. And not what? And not because he's my Rav, because he's not my Rav. Had he been my Rav, I would have stood up in front of him. Clearly. To me, that's clear pshat. Shlomo, not happy? Answers the Gemara, no. Ani eini kedalamod mipnei b'ni va'afilu rabai. Exactly the opposite. Very good. Says the Gemara, not true. No. He really said, no, I wouldn't have stood in front of my son, even had he been my Rav. The other way around. Because I'm his father, regardless to his Torah level. Beautiful. That says the Gemara, no, it's not what he meant. When he said, you know why I'm imagine yourself this following scenario. The father, Shimon Levy, the Amora, he stands up and what? And Rabbi Shimon Levy, what does he say? Sorry, the Tanna, not the Amora. Excuse me. Yeah, Rabbi Shimon Levy says, what? I'm standing up here. You know I'm standing up? Only because he is the Chosan Anosi. What do I infer from here? In the Avamina, we thought to tell him, had there been another good reason, if he was my Rav, there'll be another reason to stand in front of him. Says the Gemara, no, the opposite, just the other way around. If not for him being the son-in-law of the Nasi, I would have never stood up in front of him, even if he was my Rav. Just the opposite. Because I'm his father, that never changes. The father is the father is the father. Always would never have to show too much respect to the children. Yeah, not like modern psychology. You have to respect, but not like crazy. And therefore, I don't care. Even if he would have taught me Kol Torah Kula, I would have not stood up. You know I'm standing up. I'm explaining myself to society, saying the one and only reason I stand up because he is based on Nasi. He married the Choshev Yichus Dika family, the Nisim. Therefore, I stand up in front of him. But even if he would have been my Rebbe, I wouldn't have cared and he would have not stood up in front of him. The kids are clear. To me, it's all clear. Yet now, meaning, we still, as I told you about 1.5 million times, we still don't know. Yet we try to prove one way, prove the other. Right now, we are not clear. We're not clear over here. I will blin it or check the halacha. I saw a few of the halachas today, not this one. Yet the question is again, none of the halachas are clear right now regarding this. We don't know in that situation of what? A son who is the Rav of his father. Do we say, does the son have to stand in front of the father? Is a question. Does the father have to stand in front of his son? Also a question. Remains in a question right now. Let's be honest. We don't know right now. Yeah. Iboilu. Another question, and I think I'll see Tosis later, the very nice Tosis, but right now let's continue. Second wide line. Kiddushin Lamed Gimel Amud Beis. Ibailu, famous question. Rochuv kemehalech dami oiloi. A Talmid Chacham is riding on a horse, on a donkey, or in a car. I'm not joking. It's halacha l'maaseh today. Rochuv, if a Talmid Chacham is riding on an animal, is it kemehalech? Is it considered as if he's walking or not? What does that mean? First of all, the question is obviously regarding standing up, right? So now, the question is as follows. It's a very interesting philosophical question. When a person is riding on a donkey, is he walking or riding? On one hand, he's stationary. You sit on a horse, after an hour, your body's killing you, like sitting there the whole time, right? Yeah, you sit, you're very stationary. On the other hand, you're moving. Yeah, so the animal is moving and you're moving with it. Is it considered that you're sitting, or are you considered as walking? Because you're walking. The animal is walking for you. The four-legged creature is doing the job for you, but you are moving from point X to point Y through something that's walking. Some people say the same about a car. Yeah, you get from point X to point Y very quickly. Yeah, with your new Tesla. Yeah, you are sitting in the Tesla. I don't think you don't even have to drive as far as it was called yet. You're sitting there nicely. Rosh Hashiva sits in the car with his arms crossed, safer. He's sitting, but he's very, 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 very not stationary. He's moving, right? He's moving very fast. Is that considered what? Mobile. He's very mobile phone. So then what? Is it considered? Do I have to stand up when I see Talmud Chochem riding on a donkey, or when I see Talmud Chochem coming in a car? The Godel, right? They all come with the cars. They have to stand up. Omar Abaye. Abaye is trying to teach us the halacha to find out the halacha from the following statement to do with Hilchas Metzoira. Omar Abaye. So a small introduction. If a person who's Metzoira is in a room similar to Tome, but not the same at all, but a bit similar, we all know that if a dead person happens to be in the room, a dead man walks into the room. A dead man's in the room, dead body's in the room. You come in, you're a Tome. If you're a Kohen, stay out. He didn't come, the Kohen, yeah. So now, what happens with a Metzoira? Similar, but not the same. A person who's Metzoira is in the house. You're not supposed to, while the Metzoira is there, he doesn't leave the Tumah behind. While the Metzoira is there, you are not supposed to come into, if you can come into the room, you'll be Tomeh. You come into a room where the Metzoira is sitting, then you have to, you'll be Tomeh. You have to go to the mikveh. Now, I won't go there. Let's continue for now. Omar Abai, let's just continue for this at this point. Omar Abai, Toshma. Tommy Yoshev Tachas Ilan. Oh, here's a similar case. He's under a tree. We all know, or maybe we don't, that a tree with branches, with the treetop, is considered like a house. It's a tent, it's an oil. That's a big concern for Kohanim. If they walk down Bar Ilan Street near the cemetery, you have to make sure they don't walk under the trees. I think they cut them. But no, if you have a cemetery with branches hanging over, there's a how do you say that? Hanging over the what's the name? The overhang of, not a hangover, hopefully, but an overhang. If you had a hangover, is another problem for Kohanim, for Beis Hamikdash. If there's an overhang of branches, they shouldn't walk underneath. Why? Because it's the same house, so to speak, with the mace. Same thing with the Metzoira. A Metzoira is now sitting under a tree, enjoying himself, the Metzoira. Tomei Yoshev Tachas Ilan. A Metzoira is sitting under a tree that's considered now like a house with a Metzoira in it. The Tohar Oimed. If a regular person, a pure person stands there, then Tome. The good man is, the Torah man is Tome. Why? Because the Metzoira is only Metame while seated. That's halacha. On the other hand, the opposite of that, Tome Oimed Tachas Ilan. If the Metzoira is standing under the tree, not sitting, the Tor Yoshev, and the pure person sits there, is sitting, Tohar is Tar. In other words, it's very, very easy. The position of the Tome in Metzoira is only Metame when he sits under the tree or sits in the house. That's when, and you come in, you're in trouble. The Im Yoshav HaTome, HaTor Tome. Let's say the Tome now sat down. Once he's seated, the Torah becomes Tome. The Metzoira being seated, that alone causes a tumah. Very simple. So far, so good. V'chein, here comes big news. The Even HaMenugas. Let's say, what's Even HaMenugas? We all know that there are three types of things that are susceptible to tzaras: people, garments, and houses. Right? The house, of a Metzoira. So let's say house of a Metzoira was already decided, he was defined halachically as Metzoira Menuga, and they took one stone from there. That stone causes tumah. It's avatuma. One brick of the house of a Metzoira is a cause, is a generator of tumah. So now somebody who was tahor is now walking with the Even HaMenugas and now sits with the Even HaMenugas. Same thing. If, let's say, imagine yourself, my phone, it's a kosher phone, I promise. Let's say it was a Metzoira phone, is Menuga. It was a brick from a Talmudic house. If I'm standing with it under the tree, all is good. If I sit with it under the tree, all is bad. Now, excuse me, the stone is not sitting or standing. The stone is the same. The stone is stationary. The stone is not sitting. Last time I checked, it doesn't have feet and doesn't have muscles. So the stone is not sitting and the stone is not standing. And yet, we view the stone vis-a-vis its environment, right? If I'm standing with a stone, it's as if it's standing. If I'm sitting with a stone, it's as if the stone is sitting. And what do we see from there? 1 second. V'omar Rav Nachman bar Kohen. First time I see him, Rav Nachman bar Kohen says, Zoi someres. That is to tell you, Rochuv keme'alech dami shmamino. Easy answer. That shows you that the Talmid Chacham and the donkey, the Talmid Chacham, although if you focus on him only, if you zoom on the Talmid Chacham alone, he's not riding, he's not walking, but because his environment is walking, meaning the Chamor, the Sus, the Mazda, the Nissan, the Tesla are walking or driving in this case, or the rickshaw, therefore it's considered as if he too is walking, and therefore what do you have to do? Show respect and stand up in front of him. I would like to continue because I want to finish to this point and then I'll hear your question. Iboilu, it's really not hard. Yeah, please reserve your question to 3 minutes from now. Iboilu, another question which to us may seem simple, but for the Gemara it's a question. Ma'u lamod mipnei Sefer Torah? A Sefer Torah comes into the room. Are you supposed to stand in honor of the Sefer Torah? Well, it's not a Talmid Chacham. Rab Chilke, Rab Shimon, and Rab Lozo, yeah, 3 heilige people, they say, Amri kal v'chomer, all the more so, mipnei lomdea oimdim, mipnei l'kol sheken, mipnei lomdea, the people who study Torah, you stand in front of them in honor of the Torah, all the more so, clearly so. Yeah, for sure, you have to stand up in front of the Sefer Torah, as we do nowadays. Rabbi Loiv, Rabbi Yaakov bar Zavdi, Avu Yasvi. Oh, finally, we're getting to the question of Ellen. Rabbi Loiv, Rabbi Yaakov bar Zavdi, they were sitting down, and as we'll see later on in the Gemara, it seems like they were sitting, and what do you think they were doing? They're not playing cards, they're not playing football or soccer, they were learning. Chalif ve'ozil, Rabbi Shimon bar Abba passed by, they stood up in honor of him. Omar Lehu. Now he was upset with them for standing up. Chada, first of all, there are 2 reasons why I don't like it. You stood up, in my honor. First of all, Datun Chakimi v'ano chaver. First of all, you're greater than me. You're a Chachomim. You're Talmid Chachomim, and I am a chaver. Meaning, a chaver is a person who was Yireh Shamayim. It's a person who was like today would be very frum, whatever, very serious kind of person, not chafifnik. Meaning, what's a chaver? He's a person who keeps tumah v'tahara very well, and maisras. Yeah, these were the 2, like today people keep a sherim, filtered internet, whatever you need to keep to get your son into a good cheder. Yeah, so I'm a chaver, I'm a nice Haredi guy, but I'm not as great as you are. So why are you standing up in front of me? That's not right. The oid, klum Torah medis mipnei lomdea. Would the Torah sit mipnei lomdea? Since what? Stand. Sorry. Thank you. You are the Torah itself. Why? You are learning now. While you're learning, you don't have to show respect to another person. Even if I was, I don't know, the big Talmid Chacham, Gadol Ador, still, why are you standing up while you're learning? You are now living, exemplifying, you are now epitomizing the Torah. Why do you have to stand up in front of me? Yeah, Soverlo. Why did he say that? We're continuing to explain his line of thought. Soverlo Kerblozo. He thought like Kerblozo. Domer Kerblozo. Listen to this, Ellen. A Talmid Chacham is not allowed to stand in honor of his Rebbe while he's osek b'Torah. You're learning Torah. You have to stand up, stay seated. So how do you understand the Gemara before? Answers, explain, adds the Gemara. Abaye would curse anybody that would follow the halacha of Reb Elazar. Wow. Which means Abaye would say, no, says Abaye. And soon I'll explain to you why. Says Abaye, even while you learn Torah, you have to stand up in front of the Talmid Chacham. And I'll explain to you why. The Gemara in Megillah says that even if you sit down and you learn Torah, you have to go to the Levy of a Gadol, of a Talmid Chacham. Why? Because if you don't have covered the Torah, if you don't respect Torah, your Torah study is worth nothing. Because people can learn. Isn't it more interesting? You know that the Goyim will learn Torah? I'm not joking. Talmud, it's interesting. Surely Chilonim learn Torah. They're not even trying to be frum. Why? It's interesting. So when you learn Torah and you don't show respect to what Torah represents, to the spirituality of it, to the inner message of it, which is a Talmud Chacham, you don't go to the Levy of Talmud Chacham, which may be inconvenient, which may be very crowded. If you don't go there and you sit and learn, you show, I care about the intellectual pursuit. That's what I'm doing. That's wrong. You have to care about Torah for the sake of Torah. You do that by showing respect to the Talmid Chacham who epitomizes the idea of Torah. It's beyond the actual learning of the text and intellectual fun. And that is the story here. We didn't get to the second thesis, but Lonera. Question, yes. So first of all, thank you everybody. Yeah. They're halacha, yes. And that's why we're understanding more beforehand and better. They're really, if the Talmid Chachamim are sitting down, up and down, only twice. You only stand up twice, or when new faces come to yeshiva. You don't have to stand up more than that because of tircha, but you may be mevatel Torah a little bit, stand up, because cover the Torah is more than Torah. He was first. I don't know how long you guys. Anyway, have a great day. Atzlocho, bracha to everybody here, everybody on Torah anytime, everybody on the phone, everybody on Zoom, and YouTube channel. Atzlocho, bracha, and shalom, shalom. Here we're allowed to say shalom to shalom. Kol tuv atzlocho, bracha. Yes, Peretz, and Peretz.